lead off with Caleb Plant, Canelo Alvarez press conference that turned into a Hollywood wives from Atlanta kind of cat fight going on that could have potentially derailed this fight because Caleb Plant got injured. Hey, what do you make of this?
All right, so I tell you that they needed to find a way, whether people want to say it was staged or not. Like, I don't really care about that part. They needed to find a way to get people talking about this event, right? Canelo is Canelo. He's got the people behind him. He has got his fan base. But remember, you need that second dance partner, right, to really drive those numbers. Plant don't have that personality. He's not out there like that. Really reserved guy. And he's not that guy. So this situation blowing up like that, they had there's a really popular mixtape website called thatpiff.com, right? They were posting it on Twitter. They had almost 100,000 like retweets and likes. 50 Cent posted it on his Twitter and I think on Instagram as well. All these random casuals were posting that have these huge platforms, were posting the press conference of that incident. So it just went up. And I'll quote my man Woodsy, we say, probably about 30%. Like they just saw a 30% hike in potential pay-per-view buys just because of that. And I think that, yes, there was a little bit of a scare there. I think Mike Coppinger blew it out of proportion a little bit, saying that he was bleeding profusely, but there was a little bit of scare. But I think that it was the best thing that happened for this fight. And now, even though there's a UFC fight going on that night, where I thought that might be that might take away from the fans a little bit. Now this is going to be the most anticipated fight just because of that.
Yeah,
and everything that's going to follow along with that.
You mentioned that, and I remember you saying that you didn't know how this fight was going to fare being paired up with a UFC event. So that's interesting. And I'm thinking along the lines with you. I agree that something needed to happen to spark this fight. And I'm going to come from a different perspective, right? So, number one, I thought it was great. It took me back to a time where that was typical in press conference. Guys talking crap to each other, guys coming at each other. This Twitter kind of beef that happens, and then when they get in front of each other's face, nothing. This took me back to like the Muhammad Ali days, the Hector Macho Camacho days. The Mike Tyson when he was up on the stage before the Lennox Lewis fight. It took me kind of back to that time. So here's my take on it, why this needed to happen. Because people in the boxing world immediately, and you know what, we got to do better. And I'm going to say this, we got to do better, especially us that are really in tune to boxing. Those of us that are, reporters and journalists, we got to do just a little bit better in selling our sport, okay? Because the instant this fight was announced, big, I'm talking about top guys, top boxing pundits, immediately wrote Caleb Plant off. And I thought that was so disrespectful. And even though we know the majority of us are going to pick Canelo to win this fight just because of the sheer level of skills, it doesn't mean that Caleb Plant can't win this fight. All right? I'm on the side where I believe Caleb Plant has the tools that Canelo has trouble with, which is boxing. Canelo has problems with boxers, as he did with, Lara, and, and although those are what seems eons ago, and Canelo has evolved from that, he still has problems with fighters. And then they were saying that Canelo Plant didn't have the power to make Canelo respect him. Well, power is irrelevant because we see how he stood up to Triple G's power, which Triple G was the boogeyman. Canelo has a chin. So power is not going to beat Canelo. What's going to beat Canelo, whether it's Caleb Plant, Charlo, Benavidez, whoever steps in the ring with Canelo is the perfect execution of a plan. The person that could, number one, take Canelo's punch and execute the perfect fight plan is the one that's going to beat Canelo. All right? Now, my heart picks Plant because I think he has the tools. My mind and my rationale is going to go towards Canelo. However, I thought that this respect within itself from guys like respected respected journalists like Dan Raphael, okay? Respected boxing Twitter personalities like Rick Glazer immediately wrote this guy off. What they did in doing that was diminish the value of this fight. So in doing that, we got 2 world champions. Think whatever you want about Caleb Plant. He is a bona fide, legitimate world champion. All right? Think what you want about it. In giving your opinion that fast, you diminish this fight. And I'm glad that this press conference happened the way it happened. Because like you said, it increased the wanting to watch this fight just because of that.